Hello, I'm Barry Winbolt. I'm a conflict resolver, mediator and family therapist. Welcome to the course. I've been teaching conflict resolution for about 30 years now, most recently at university level in London, and also in my workshops in the UK and overseas. I've learned a lot about conflict in that time, and one of the things I can tell you about it that you probably already know is that it is universal. Like it, don't like it, it's going to happen. If you work in a large organisation or a small organisation, even if you work alone, you're going to be dealing with conflict on a virtually daily basis. In our personal relationships, conflict is unavoidable. I often joke that I realised as a young man that I was in serious need of conflict resolution skills on about day 2 of my honeymoon. It's a bit light-hearted perhaps, but it reflects the idea that in all human relationships there will be conflict. And yet, paradoxically, there are 2 things that I think are noteworthy. 1, most people say they don't like conflict. And 2, we get no training in dealing with it. Now, what sort of world is it where we don't get any training in dealing with one of the most common phenomena we're going to come across in our relationships? We know the costs in organisations. They're catastrophic. Lost time, absenteeism, people even change their jobs because of conflict. Harassment, bullying, claims and accusations, whether genuine or not, and I'm not saying that many claims aren't genuine, they are, but equally these are terms which get widely overused to describe unresolved conflicts between 2 people. And those unresolved conflicts don't just affect the 2 people, they ripple out and they affect colleagues. I've even worked in organisations where 2 directors in conflict meant that over 100 staff who reported to them had become factionalised and divided. So they'd created a rift in a large department of people who really had other things to do besides disagreeing and fighting among themselves. So the costs are off the scale, and yet we're singularly poorly equipped to deal with it. Likewise, in families, whether you have children or not, conflict is going to be part of the landscape of your family life. Now, successful relationships, successful marriages and long-term relationships manage those conflicts well. But when they're not managed well, we know what the costs are. Even in good relationships, an unresolved conflict can produce a lasting rift. They can produce those things we just can't talk about, those things that just keep getting in the way. And yet those are probably the things that really need resolving. And let's not talk about children, because once you start to bring up children, and I've got 4 of them, you understand how important it is to be able to handle the inevitable differences, disagreements and arguments, not just directly between you and your children, but that the children will have between themselves. And there's another really, really important factor here, one which is so often overlooked by parents. Your children, when you have them or if you have them, will pick up your conflict management style. You have an important role in teaching your children how to react in potential conflicts with equanimity, with confidence, with dignity, and above all, respecting the dignity of others. So I hope I've made the point for you on why I think managing conflict is so important. Most people say they don't like conflict, and that's entirely understandable. But you don't have to like it to deal with it effectively. And when you can deal with it effectively, those positive benefits go off the scale. And one curious phenomenon that I've noticed is, among people I know who manage conflict well, is that they get fewer of them in their lives. So enjoy the course, throw yourself into it. There will be plenty of opportunities to practice in your daily life, I'm sure, and see you in the next lesson.